I think we're both going to the same place, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Millionth Show. My name is James. I'm joined once again by Henry. And today we are talking about Saw 5, released in 2008. Runtime of 1 hour, 35 minutes, short and sweet. And yeah, what did you make of this one, Henry?
Well, again, it's definitely probably one of the best Saw films I've seen so far, and it's another, like you said, runtime of 1.5 hours effectively. This doesn't waste any time. Every scene feels appropriate, doesn't feel drawn out. Um, nothing wrong with long run times, I will say, but it feels like some films, feel the need to be 2 hours plus, and then it's just like fluff in there. But this is very high quality for a. I mean, I'm not saying the other Saw films are bad, but this is a very, very good one. It's very satisfying, very good ending, very good traps.
Yeah, for me, as I said, I think this is the first, I mean, way back, like 10 years ago, this was the first Saw film I saw. I'm pretty sure of that.
God,
And
that's been
this
confusing
is
as
this
hell.
is one that's probably always been my favorite. Actually, this is I always if I was to I don't know, like I know you need to watch them in chronological order for them to make any sense. But if I do sit down, if okay, let me put it this way: if I was to go to a desert island and I could only take one Saw DVD with me, it would be this one. You know what I mean? I really, I mean, part. I think one of the main reasons for that is because I mean of what the image we have here,
Yeah,
Hoffman and Kramer. Sigma meets Sigma. This is like we get a lot of both of them, and we get
get
them
a good face
together as
off.
well, which
Yeah,
is like that's so cool, man. I think, and because they both have, I think, of any characters in the Saw franchise, these two have the most presence.
yeah.
And for them to actually share a few scenes in this film, that was really enjoyable, and it's something I always look forward to when I see this one. Also, the fact that the actual Saw Trap kind of storyline itself is interesting because it's Saw 5 and there's 5 people in this particular trap. That's
Mm.
how it starts off, and I think how that develops is quite interesting. Even though the traps themselves, watching it back yesterday, the traps themselves there aren't that many like iconic Saw traps in
Well,
this
they're
film. I
creative,
mean,
I would say.
sorry.
They're quite creative, I would say.
Yeah.
They encourage a good bit of teamwork, like, well, depending on how many teammates you actually have in this
Well,
case.
that's the very thing, isn't it, Henry? Um, I mean, actually, I'm talking about the storyline traps. So, like, yeah, where the 5 of them
Yeah,
are,
true.
those traps are like pretty forgettable, I would say. Not because they're bad or like lame or anything. Just like, I
Yeah,
mean,
to be
there's
fair,
not,
they always,
I'm not talking about a rack trap or something like that,
yeah,
or
yeah.
like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, to be
Um,
fair, those ones, they always boil down to, like, do this, otherwise a nail bomb somewhere in the room will explode, or more
yeah,
than.
I think they maybe started running out of ideas, or they're getting a little bit sloppy with some of the traps. Not in like I say, not I'm not saying they're bad or lame or anything. It's just because we've seen
Yeah,
such a high level so far, and inevitably you're gonna start, you know. Oh, but I don't know. I mean, we do have some good ones. We'll get into them when we go through the storyline. But I wanted to go through a couple because with this film, obviously, like I said, this is the fifth film, and we have a new director for this one because obviously the from Saw 2, 3, and 4, it was Danny. Oh, I always forget his name. Darren Bousman,
yeah.
and this time we had a chap called David Hackle as the director for this one. Budget of 10.8 million, a box office of 113 million. So profitable as ever,
Yeah,
which is
exactly. They're literally, this was like, must have been like well, I mean, I say must have been, literally was a money printing machine for these
yeah,
guys.
literally,
10 times plus return on investment. Like, that's insane.
yeah.
I mean, then
And
again, you got the marketing too, but still, like, at least 5 times.
yeah, I can't remember what film it was for. It might have been Saw 3 or 2. I saw some trivia where it's something like Tobin Bell, the actor for John Kramer, he donated like a pint of his blood or something like that as like vials of blood, right? That were used in the what do you call it? The vat of red paint that they used, the red ink that they were using for the posters of the films, right? And he actually donated a little bit of his blood to be dropped into this vat. So then, it's like in there. So yeah, those posters have become very valuable
that's
now.
pretty cool. And like, I mean,
It's a bit sick, but it's his own blood, so I don't know. Like,
you
I mean,
mean, you know,
it kind of it's reminiscent of I can't remember what rapper it was that did the Nike shoes with the or it wasn't the Nike. I can't remember. It did something like that. That was a bit different. I think this is more, but still, it's like, yeah, man, this that's commitment. You got to say, blood,
yeah,
sweat, and
exactly.
tears.
Yeah, that's like some next level method acting right there.
Yeah, man. So
Yeah.
so there you go. I mean, it wasn't for this film, I don't think, but still, I thought that was quite an interesting bit of trivia.
Hmm.
Um. So, have you got any other initial thoughts, or should we get into it?
Think we should get into it because I really liked the opening
Let's
track
do
on
it.
this.
Well, we open with a pendulum trap. So this is what I said earlier. Okay, I was wrong because this is the iconic trap from
Yeah.
Saw 5, I believe.
So yeah, it's definitely the one that springs to mind for me. And the thing that I like, I mean, they do it with all the opening traps, but this one especially is really, really good because they come back to it later on and it has a lot of meaning.
Mm,
Um, and again, well, it's a relatively creative one. I mean, it does have the same premise of, something you have to lose what made you do your crime, da da da. But
mm,
then there's the twist in it, which,
mm,
because it's not actually a jigsaw trap, so to say.
hmm. Yeah, that's right. This track just visually is very interesting. Obviously, it's yeah, like I said, the guy's stretched out with a pendulum like cutting him in half. I mean, that's fucking horrific. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, what was possibly even more horrific is the fact that this trap they built this like practically and it worked.
Oh, fuck.
And what they had to do was, or what they did was they for the pendulum trap, it was working model, so they replaced the actual pendulum, the head of the blade. They replaced that with a foam one, and then where he puts
Okay.
his hands in, they had to pad like the top of the bottom with foam so it wouldn't crush his hand. But that actually worked. So, you know, that's uh
Yeah, yeah. I need to know
that's
where
an interesting
where
one.
they filmed this, for reasons,
Yeah. So anyway, this guy Seth Baxter, he wakes up. His crime was obviously that he was a murderer, and then he was meant to do life in jail, but obviously he got out on a
Yeah,
technicality.
at least 25 years, and then got
Yeah.
only 5 or something, which
Yeah.
is yeah,
So yeah, and then yeah, so now he's here and he's got to basically crush his bone,
his
his
hands.
hands to dust.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't
and
know
I know
about the
later on in
dust
the
part, but
film, later on in the film, it goes on to reveal that Hoffman, obviously, this is Hoffman's trap. Although, since obviously knowing that and the rewatch value with this film is really great, probably, yeah, well, I mean, they all have great rewatch value, but especially this one. And I was really focusing, you really end up focusing on like very particular things when you've seen this one as many times as I have. And for example, I've started noticing how Jigsaw says the word body. Did you notice like, sever your body or something like that? He has like a funny way of, it's almost like buddy, you
really,
know.
yeah.
Um,
No, not
and
really. But you've seen this so many times, then.
yeah, well, yeah, I know that's
Saw
like really
enthusiast
so.
here, like future Jigsaw, like copycat.
It was just a very accurate impression from Hoffman, or it was recorded
Hmm.
by Tobin Bell anyway. So I don't know.
Yeah, no,
But
I don't think this that must have been a Tobin Bell one because you hear Hoffman's one later and it is like relatively different.
yeah, but that's when he was doing one when he knew that that was when the moment he'd been caught, so he didn't bother like. But
Yeah,
anyway, I
maybe,
mean,
maybe he's doing a rush job.
I'm
He
not going to
can't be bothered.
spoil the future films, but there is, yeah.
Yeah, there is a bit.
Um, so anyway, this trap is obviously rigged. The guy, does crush his hands, not quite to dust, but um,
Hmm.
enough so that it should stop the trap, but it doesn't. So it fucking slices him in half. You see the little bits of like guts,
Yeah,
like flying off and like that into the tarpaulin next to him, man. It's
yeah,
disgusting, man.
yeah. But
Um,
I loved the bit as well where he's like he's basically like I did it, man, I did it, and then
yeah,
he realizes he's not going to get, and then he looks over
yeah,
like,
yeah.
and It's just like it's reminiscent of like the like Zepp's eye like
Oh, you're right.
in the original Saw, but then
Yeah,
it's like pretty creepy, man. Fucking like
yeah,
like Hoffman just staring at him through the wall, well through the hole
yeah.
in the wall, which
Yeah,
is
I mean, no one knows. I mean, obviously, the audience at this point, first time viewers don't know it's Hoffman, but yeah, it's just this eye looking through the bang. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, you're right. I didn't. Yeah, right. It is a bit of a Zepp connection there, but yeah, very, very cool way to end it. Just I think this one, if you're here for torture porn or anything like that, then this is the trap for you, man. You know, because I mean, I'll
you get
never forget
everything really.
the first I saw it. You see the little bit of like sausage or whatever it is, like like that, just like bang, like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's yeah, they didn't hold
yeah,
back
they
on
don't
the
leave much to the imagination with this one.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like they did in
I
previous,
appreciate.
well, say previous ones. They didn't really do it much there either, but
So then we get back to the ending of Saw 4 because of course this is directly continuing from that.
which is
So
also simultaneously happening with Saw 3.
yeah, exactly. Uh, um, so yeah, we get back to the Saw 4 ending with Strom. Strom's there, he's just shot Jeff, and he sees John Kramer there. He's obviously just been killed as well. And he finds a tape. I mean, this is like I don't know how John Kramer's got to the point of predicting that,
Yeah, predicting it'll be Strom. Oof. Well, I mean, you do see later on that he's talking to Hoffman and that he's like, oh, well, the discussing detectives who might,
yeah, yeah, yes.
so maybe you could say that. I mean, that's also something I wrote down. I was like, would you really know it was Strom? Like, you're starting to
Yeah.
reach by this point. Imagine if you probably have to have something like, it's like this is like, hello, Detective Strom. If this is not Peter Strom, then put this tape back because this
Yeah,
is made for you.
yeah, exactly. Because he already like the biggest reach that we've seen so far was in I
Yeah,
think it was the last one Saw 4 where Perez like picks up the tape and that could have easily been Strom.
yeah,
So
exactly.
that was a little bit convenient,
Yeah,
but
all the next ones are like it's like hello Officer Perez or Strom, whichever
yeah,
one
yeah, yeah.
survives.
Officer Perez slash Strom slash Stranger. In which case, put this back, please, and rewind
Yeah,
it.
he's got like yeah for the amount of like different possibilities, he's got like more and more tapes like per thing. It's like numbered based on which name it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, anyway, um, Strom picks up his tape, and it's telling him, this room can become your sanctuary or your grave. And he says, "Fuck you" to
Yeah,
John Kramer's
exactly. Nice and
corpse.
ambiguous as well.
Yep. So he continues, and he gets ambushed, obviously, and then wakes up in the water box trap.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about this one, Henry?
I've got to say, like I mean, it's a very creative trap, I have to say. Uh, um, I mean, they do like to put people's like body parts in boxes, so they can't move around. Um, but this was like this is pretty gruesome in a way in the fact of the way he got out, which is very quick. First, quick thinking, clever thinking, and also horrific.
Hmm.
Um, I was like, I like wondered if it would have been at all possible for him just to continuously drink the water, like get some hydration nation in there.
Huh.
I don't know. Maybe it's poison. Actually, no. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe he get like dysentery or something instead, just to make him learn a lesson or something like that.
Yeah.
There was no instructions with this trap though, which is this is the
That
first
yeah.
one. Yeah,
That's the
first one
thing.
with no
Like
instructions.
that's what bugged me a little bit about this. This is a very iconic trap, by the way, and this was used in a lot of marketing for the release of this film. And what I liked about it is that well, no, what I didn't like about it was the fact that there was no way to escape that, like in Saw fashion. He's not like chopping his legs off or something like that. I mean, he had to improvise and think, which was an interesting aspect, which we don't get to see very often. There's no instructions, like you said, so he has to just think quick because
Yeah.
obviously this
Well,
is a
we know
rigged.
why there's no instructions and why
Yeah,
it's
it's a
essentially
rigged trap, of
yeah.
course, but you know, in another parallel universe or whatever, it would have been interesting to see how what would have been involved. Although that could have been anything. To be fair, you could have something for your arms or legs or whatever. So I think, yeah, to be fair, you can let that off. Um, interesting bit of trivia about this trap. Again, this is another practical one which the actor himself had to do. Like
He
in
actually
just
stabbed his neck.
well, no, but had to like and the he was his head was in a watertight box, and being filled up with water, and he just could release it by like moving the panels basically if he needed to. But yeah, this was like fucked up, as like again a practical trap.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
There's been quite a few times where in Hollywood they've had like the things like this where like someone's in a box of water and it's actually happening, but then stuff
yeah.
doesn't necessarily go very well. If you know the example I'm thinking of, then you know.
What? The Prestige.
Yeah, that's the
Oh,
one.
you saw that?
Yeah. It's like the one where the actress was actually drowning in it, and it was
Oh,
trying to
great!
get
No,
the
no, no. I
singer to
didn't.
help.
I didn't know you'd seen that film, Prestige. Yeah, that's a good one. I didn't know you'd seen it.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
should have told
yeah,
me, man. That's
completely
amazing.
completely unrelated to Saw, but still.
No, 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 it is because I was thinking, yeah, he must be talking about the Prestige, but he hasn't seen it. But you have. Oh, that's sick. All right, we'll talk about that after.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so yeah. Anyway, he gets out of it by stabbing the pen in his neck and breathing through that. Which, yeah, I mean, I didn't know was possible until seeing that. So
Yeah,
always carry a
it's
pen,
like
ladies and gentlemen.
yeah, I heard that was like I think it's the thing that some people have like um I don't know if you're like a heavy smoker or something and I don't know something like that. I think
Oh
that's a real
yeah,
thing. I don't know, but either
yeah.
way, that's disgusting, man. Like especially the way that his voice sounds afterwards,
Oh yeah.
like just breathing through like the holy
Yeah,
one,
yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah. Although, yeah, I do think about the upper body strength you must have and how sharp that pen must have been to like jam it in. But I don't know how much research has been done into how easy that'd be. So,
Yeah,
I'll leave
exactly.
that to the pros.
Yeah,
Anyway,
the pros, man.
this is a nice moment because obviously Hoffman walks out of the building, like at the end of Saw 4
Mhm.
with Jeff's daughter.
Yeah, I like yeah,
So that
because
was
I
nice.
remember that.
He
Because then
she
I was
wasn't
like,
left to rot.
yeah, I thought like, oh damn, like that
Yeah, we
I
said
was
that
like,
at the end of Saw 3. We were like,
yeah, we
"Whoa,
were like, what the fuck,
what,
man?
man? You just killed his daughter for no reason. She's going to starve to death alone." But luckily, that's not the case. So
Yeah, I like
I
they
was
didn't
glad.
even. I like
We
that
all
they
like
didn't
to see
even.
that.
Yeah, they didn't even bother to show what trap she was in or whatever. Or might have just been in a box with like a key in the room or something.
Yeah, yeah. She was well, pretty scared, but
Yeah,
and now she's an orphan, so that's pretty
yeah,
pretty
pretty
bad.
fucked.
But
I mean, to be
at
fair
least
with a
she's
dad
alive.
like Jeff.
At
Yeah, to
least
be
she's
fair with
alive.
a dad like Jeff, might be better off.
um.
Yeah,
Anyway, yeah, and he goes, "Yeah, nobody made it." But then of course. Someone did make it.
yeah,
Strum is wheeled out, so and then Hoffman shits himself a little bit there.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and then we go back to Jill Tuck. She's been called into John Kramer's lawyer's office, whatever, and he basically gives her a tape, and this is like in the event of John Kramer's demise. You got
Yeah,
here.
we get like I like this though. It's like first of all, like while she's in the waiting room to go in here, like there's just someone
Oh
reading
yeah,
like this the John Kramer magazine cover where she's
yeah,
reading.
yeah, yeah.
The
John
thing is,
Kramer, Calvin Klein.
yeah, exactly. It's like they couldn't have possibly gotten him in for an interview on this because he wouldn't do interviews probably, logically speaking, because he's dead. So and I don't know where they got the photos of him for this from that looked like that. And yeah, but yeah, we get to I did like we get a little bit of a jigsaw mystery unboxing for this. Like should Jill Tuck should have made like a YouTube video or some shit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Although, what I like about is with the tape, it's a tape of John himself. Actually,
Mm.
so this isn't like an audio tape; it's a VHS
Yeah, they don't
or
have Billy the Puppet to stand
DVD.
in.
Wasn't a DVD at this point. John Kramer's old school, man. It was a VHS, and he didn't have the Billy the Puppet or anything. I think this is the first time we see John Kramer like recording video with his face, like sort of, which is always gives it a different edge for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, but yeah, so and basically, yeah, and then she's given a box which she's conveniently worn the key around her neck
Yeah,
for God
exactly.
knows how long,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
how
He
many years
predicted
waiting
that
for this
this.
moment,
Yeah,
wearing a key she doesn't know that it opens.
yeah, because she would have probably thought by this point that like, this necklace with a key on it that my now dead ex gave to me, who's like a serial killer putting people in traps, might be useful someday. I don't know. I don't know if she would have thrown it out by this point, but
Yeah, and it's not like
obviously
it's
she didn't.
a cute little one either. It's just like this big ugly key, man. Like no way you're walking around with that all day. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
exactly.
anyway, you know.
Oh, well.
So yeah. Okay. Now then we cut over back to Hoffman.
Yep.
He's receiving a promotion and standing ovation and a medal and all that
Yeah, he gives
jazz.
a little bit of a jigsaw speech here.
Yeah, definitely,
He's
man.
like not even like trying to be like not suspicious during this, like
Yeah, yeah,
directly quotes him.
yeah. He's doing like a proper. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's
literally.
like we've all learned to cherish our lives, you know.
Yeah.
Like well, the lives that we have left actually, my whole
Yeah.
department's dead, but okay.
And then as he comes off stage, he drops his bag full of skin, puzzle pieces cut out of skin. Like oh, what are those doing there?
Whoops. Yeah, exactly. Like
His
he like
pink mask
reaches
falls out the other pocket.
yeah, he reaches for a cue card, pulls out another bit of skin, you know.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
and I think it was the fact that he was standing at like a podium doing this, but it was at this point that I realized, like, I don't know if you agree with me on this, but like he looks like a combination of Donald Trump and like Ron DeSantis in one person. I don't know, but if that's like, I
That's
don't know if that's
current.
just me,
Yeah.
but
Um.
it's like the little sneer kind of on his face that might sell it.
Yeah. We get a little anyway. So then he goes back in his office. We get a little glimpse of a picture of his sister. Well, we don't know that at the moment, but it's like a little bit of foreshadowing there. And then he, opens an envelope on his desk which says, "I know who you
Hmm.
are." And
Yeah, he's
anyway,
just
then
been
we,
doxxed. Yeah.
yeah, he's been doxxed exactly, man. That's the 2008 version.
Hmm.
Um, so then we cut to hospital where Perez she's dead,
Yeah.
from what happened in Saw
Yeah,
4.
from her very valuable life lesson.
Yeah, that's right. Um, and obviously, yeah, Strom is there, like he's mourning her basically.
Hmm.
Hoffman walks in, and they have a little bit of bit of a what's the
Bit of
word?
Barney.
No, dick measuring contest or whatever.
Yeah,
They're like
basically.
bit of beef going on
Yeah,
there.
it's, I escaped without a hole in my neck. Like,
Yeah, 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 yeah. I really like this back and forth that they have.
hmm,
It's really
yeah,
cool. Because Strom is totally onto him. He's like just suspicious for no reason other than him being like
the
looking like
only
a
one
complete.
alive.
I mean, Hoffman doesn't. He's obviously he looks like a villain. I mean, he's not like um he's not like like I don't know, but like Strom, man, that actor, he's like the most villain like face
Yeah,
profile ever, man. Like he looks like the villain from License to Kill almost a little bit. You know what I
yeah, a
mean?
little bit. I mean,
So
yeah, that's one of the
um,
things as well. One of the biggest problems I have with this is the first time I watched it, because I must have watched this like either after one or two Saw films, so I must have been like a bit like
so
half
yeah, how well did
delirious.
you remember it actually?
I only remembered certain things, and the main reason why I had difficulty remembering it because I wasn't paying too much attention the very first time, like how many it was like a year ago,
Mhm.
because I was getting confused between Strom and Hoffman because they looked too similar to me.
Really?
I mean, and I'm not
I
the
know what you
only
mean.
one.
Yeah,
I'm
they
not
could have
the
made
only
one of
one
them like blonde
who
or
said
something.
that before, but huh?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they could have made one of them blonde or something a little bit easier, or
Yeah,
ginger
exactly.
or
But
something. But yeah.
yeah, just yeah, exactly.
But what I like about that actually, though, it's funny you mention that because it plays into a little bit later where, well, we'll get into it. I'll come back to that one actually. But anyway, the point is that Hoffman, he leaves the hospital and Erickson comes in. Now we have a new character called Erickson. He's like the
Mm.
chief FBI guy.
Yeah.
And he basically tells Strom that you're off the case, which he doesn't take, too kindly to, but
Mm.
that's how it is, mate. Um, Okay, so then Hoffman goes back to his pad, to his gaff, and he unveils, which is a cool little throwback to Saw One, a little miniature
Yeah,
of
I
the
love
Saw
the little
trap.
miniature man.
Right?
It's
Yeah,
like
you like them, don't you?
yeah,
Uh,
I do like him. I appreciate the workmanship, you know.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I quite like as well. I just had to make this note while I was like looking, while I was just appreciating the scene. I was like, he's got the best like jigsaw setup out of any film so far. He's got like all the four computers, the diorama there, just so you can remember what goes where. He's got like the wall of like all the different people that are there, and like he's a proper like organization freak,
Oh
man.
yeah.
Like, I mean,
Hoffman is
I guess
like
you'd
the
have to be a jigsaw, but you know.
well, yeah. He's the true heir to John Kramer. Like I actually I really like Mark Hoffman's character, like the actor for him as well, Costas. You know, he's like, I mean, obviously Tobin Bell, he is, you know, Jigsaw, he's the iconic
Yeah,
guy, but Mark Hoffman for me is like equally as good, like in all the films. You know, I mean, I really,
yeah,
I love, you know, the character development, and obviously this film is pretty much the Mark Hoffman film, really,
yeah,
because we
more or
learn about his
less.
backstory. Um, Although not yet, because obviously he unveils these miniatures. Can you imagine for a Saw parody, he's like building the miniatures out of Lego, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Just
So
do
yeah,
like Lego Soul Trap video or something.
yeah, man.
Actually,
Yeah,
yeah,
so then you get pendulum trap and the leg piece comes away from the torso piece, you know?
yeah, exactly.
So
Oh yeah,
yeah,
the rack trap, the functional twisting of like a
yeah,
Lego.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We could go on, but we won't. Okay, so then we get to so yeah, because obviously he's looking at the miniature, which then like transitions into
Mhm.
the actual trap, and this is where we meet our five contestants.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. They should have made this one into a game show. Honestly, it would have made a bit of money.
yeah, I mean, well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, slight issue with
there's
being
plenty of films
raided.
that already do that, man. I mean, The
Yeah,
Running Man is one if anyone's
yeah,
watched.
yeah. I know. It would have been stupid, but it would have been funny. Just like make
Yeah,
just like a have like a live like Twitch feed and
Twitch
like
stream.
saying, yeah,
Well,
it's
it's
like
probably all on, like I said, like on the deep web, man. You know,
yeah, it's
there's
like
all like live
yeah, it should
executions
have
and shit,
done
man. You know.
something like don't donate like donate to see one of them get like shocked or something like that.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
Well, anyway, I called this one. Yeah, this is the basically I wrote it down as the decapitation trap.
Yeah, or the neck collar
Or
keys
actually,
trap.
I wrote it down decap trap. And yeah, man. So the five of them wake up, and they're in this, you know, in this room. And yeah, I mean, I know you're pretty like. Ever since I first watched this film, like however old I was, man, I was like, this British guy is like super like strange, man. What do you think of this guy, Charles? Is
Well, the ball one.
the bald one? Yeah, the bald British guy.
Yeah, yeah. He
So weird, man.
I don't know. Yeah, but that's I guess that's the point. Like I kind of find it funny because he's like intentionally being suspicious, like by not laying anything on, being
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, I
He's
know
like an
everything
he
about you.
was he was written. You could it was a British actor for some reason. It's like inexplicably there,
Not the first
and
time they've
you
done
can
it.
tell his lines are written by an American. It's like written for like you know he delivered his lines exactly as they were written. I think because it doesn't sound natural. The actual like words and stuff he's using isn't like, and he's got like a really posh accent as well, doesn't he? So it's like
Yeah, he does. He's
yeah,
like perfectly pronunciating everything. Like
yeah, 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 yeah.
he's like the most eloquent speaker, man. Maybe
Literally. Maybe he isn't even maybe someone doing a very good like English accent. I'm gonna check if this guy's from England or not while you continue.
yeah, exactly. I mean, one of the things that I liked with this as well. I mean, it's a plot twist that occurs later on, but you find out soon enough. The fact
Mhm.
that um Jigsaw says to them on the instruction manual, effectively with Billy the Puppets, you know,
Yeah.
YouTube tutorial man. He says like, you know, don't trust your instincts. Actually, you should go against them effectively,
Yeah.
because they have to go and collect a key to unlock their harness around their neck. And but if by the end of the timer, you know, everyone's going to get decapitated otherwise, or whoever hasn't unlocked themselves. But then they later on realize it's this, all the keys are the same.
Yeah.
All they had to do was literally just pass the key down, but they all thought they had to get a different one, so they just weren't thinking.
Because they
Um,
do well initially. They are holding it together, and then one of them just gets impatient. The beta male of the group, you know, he's
yeah,
like,
exactly.
you know what I'm on about. Yeah, he's like that. I mean, to be
The
fair,
other bloke.
Charles is like a bit of a sigma male, clearly, you know, like of the group. Bit mysterious, you know, but
Yeah,
he's like
he's
knows
literally
about
like,
everyone, you know. Yeah. Um,
yeah, he watched a few confidence videos before this, like,
Definitely, yeah, man. He's like, but
yeah,
yeah,
don't
so
reveal too much about yourself, you know.
yeah, this guy, the actor's Carlo Rota. He's born in the UK, raised in Italy, Hong Kong, the Bahamas, and Canada.
Sounds like someone was
So
born into money, you know.
yeah, so there you go. I mean, very British accent though. I don't know, but yeah, whatever. So
What can you say? And
but
one
like
other
that
thing,
deep, but yeah.
one other thing I'll note as well. I don't know why I noticed this particularly. It might have been the case for the whole time, but this
Hmm.
Billy the Puppet on the. I mean, maybe it's because you see more of him. He's like
Yeah.
proper dripped out. He's in like a full suit. He's got the
Oh
pockets
yeah,
square, you know, like
of course.
he looks. I don't know. Something about him looks different. I don't know what it is.
Triple
Maybe it's the
drown,
same
man.
one.
Well, it's just that's something I appreciated about this one. With all the traps, you actually get a tape of Billy the Puppet,
Mm.
so that's just becoming like
Yeah,
a standard thing now. I
yeah,
mean, because in previous ones you have a lot of tapes and stuff, and you do have tapes here, but
yeah. Well, that might.
when there's no option, but for this one, there's a TV set in every single one, which is like pretty cool, you know.
Yeah, like maybe like Hoffman's diverted some like police budget towards like televisions, you know, for this.
Yeah, man.
Um, yeah,
Um,
because that can't be cheap at all.
So yeah, anyway, so they lose their patience, so they start going and like grabbing the keys for themselves. I've got to shout out the music in this scene was really
Mm.
cool. Like I'm because the music's all done by the same guy, Charlie
Mm.
Clouser, right, for all the films. But for some reason, for Saw 5, the music really stood out to me as being like a little bit extra good. You know, like
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
I really
it's
enjoyed the different scores in this one. It's like very good for like building the tension and the atmosphere.
mm,
In this trap in particular, I noticed it.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
so yeah,
we've come a far way. I mean, I wouldn't have thought it was the same person for the entire series.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, it is.
I remember especially in Saw 3, like you're just jamming to the track every time. Like, you know, there's like cutting open John Kramer's head and shit. Like, it's just like some like EDM shit was playing or something.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
But yeah, I have to say the soundtrack is especially good in this. There's like a later scene I would like to shout out for that, but I'll do that when that comes up.
Okay, I'm going to be interested if it's the same one I was thinking of as well. But this
Yeah.
is one of them. Anyway, so basically what happens is one of them gets decapitated. So she's pulled back on the line. And what I really like about the editing of it is it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, bang. She's
Yeah.
like, they're all empty, and then hers is like, bang, like cuts her head off. Guillotine, So that was pretty cool.
Hmm.
Okay, so then we cut back to Strom. He's looking up Hoffman. He's stalking him. He's like, trying to dig some dirt. No criminal record found.
Yeah.
But he does find out about Seth Baxter and his sister. So we get basically, literally, Mark Hoffman's Mark
Villager.
Hoffman's villain origin story. So yeah, and
Pretty
it's
tragic,
pretty,
man.
yeah, it is for sure.
Yeah, and the thing as well, yeah, because essentially all it is, I mean, yeah, Strom's definitely he's scrolling through every single photo of like this like person's murder. He's probably like, I don't know, he looks like someone who likes looking at gore or something. He's like,
Oh.
he's taking some good time looking at like someone's like severed neck. But yeah, like his sister was the only family that he had that was,
Mhm.
and yeah, this is like her ex-boyfriend that was that murdered her. It looks like killed the same way John Kramer was, like with some sort of saw to the neck.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, which explains why he kind of didn't. He had no way out essentially because, you
Yeah.
Hoffman just decides, yeah, he has to die. There's no way out. And he books himself front row seats just like
Hmm.
Jigsaw.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's interesting as well because, well, I mean, they go on to explain a little bit later, but I mean, it's pretty close together because it's like he wanted to punish this guy and to torture him a bit, and then like the way he thought the best way to be would do that would be to mimic a saw trap, which is like, and to the detail of like cutting out the jigsaw piece and everything. So that was interesting. Although
Yeah,
we'll come
as
back to that a
well.
little bit later. What I do like here is that we get a flashback of him setting up a trap as well, right?
Hmm.
I think it was the no, it wasn't that one, but yeah, you get a little trap flashback of that as well. Um, so yeah, so we find out about that. Um, then we cut back to there's four of them left now. Two girls and the two guys,
Hmm.
and they're in the tunnel trap. So they're in another room with another nail bomb, and this time they have to like, oh yeah, they have to find the keys.
Yeah,
Yes,
there's
they
little
have the
shapes on
glass
them.
jars. They have to like find the keys to open the
Yeah. I wonder.
safety areas.
Yeah, I wonder where like I wonder where he finds these places to build these traps. Like some of these ones in particular, like has to find like perfectly human, like sized holes
Yeah,
with
that's a good point.
grates
Yeah.
on them, but also enough so you could possibly fit 5 people in. I don't know.
Yeah, I never thought
Where
that.
he
Yeah,
gets
what's that
these,
supposed to practically be? That
where
was
he gets these keys from as well. Like, who makes
yeah,
orders of like ones with no shapes on them, some with like triangle, like a star or whatever.
that's a good
Maybe he's
point.
like repurposed some cookie cutters or something. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, maybe.
Yeah,
Um, Obviously, this is where the British guy he bites it because obviously
yeah, because they
they're all
don't
sick of him basically because he takes out one of them,
takes up the fate in
survival
there.
of the fittest, like that, and then
Someone else takes him out.
yeah, that's right. So
Oh,
they're
like, he
like,
doesn't get up for 20 seconds even though his life's on the line. I don't know about that.
wait, I'm too posh to die.
Yeah,
Uh,
I just like they didn't think maybe, oh, these are some pretty large holes actually in the wall. What if, two of us just go in one of them?
yeah, exactly.
Like, you know,
But they wanted I mean
they wanted blood.
specifically they wanted to kill him because they're
Yeah,
all
that's
trying to
true.
be like because he goes you didn't tell her about the man you slept with or whatever he says he's
Yeah,
like
it's not
he's like
really,
oh you didn't mention this he's like
yeah, yeah,
he is a
he's getting
swag
it,
to be fair
Yeah.
and actually she says that afterwards she goes like, oh he was an asshole but he was smart whatever so
Yeah, we could have used him.
I
Like,
don't think he was smart they're just like impressed by his accent man you know what I mean
yeah, yeah, exactly. The only
fool.
thing, yeah, what was it? That he said, no, it doesn't matter. I was going to say something about what he said, but I forgot. Yeah, it was the fact that, yeah, he was going on like, I don't know why he bragged about this. He's like, they're like, so why do you know all this? And he's like, oh, I work for the Herald. I don't
Oh
know why.
yeah,
Yeah.
the Herald. It's like the
Uh,
equivalent of going, I work for the Sun.
Yeah, I knew it was going to be the Sun, man. Like, it's like the Sun, but worse. Like, who
I
cares,
work for the Daily Star.
man? Yeah, I work for the Daily Mail. Like,
I
who cares?
work for Nuts magazine.
Yeah, I work for the Times. Like,
I
okay.
have a verified Twitter account.
Yeah, it's like this guy's bragging the fact he's a journalist, man. Like maybe that would have been
Yeah,
cool like
man.
30 years ago. Now you just get
But
smashed
it's
for
the
it.
fact he does the little point as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's just
Like,
yeah,
oh
he
wow.
really thinks he's the shit.
Yeah, he literally does, man. Yeah, I mean, I don't feel sorry that he bought it,
Yeah.
man.
John Kramer confirmed hates journalists.
Yeah.
Sorry, slip of the tongue there.
Okay, so now we get, for me, maybe the most iconic 10 minutes of any Saw film. So we get Hoffman, he's just received that letter, he's been doxxed, so he's a little bit on edge. He's going back
Yeah,
to his
exactly.
apartment building. You get a couple of fake outs here. First of all, he's going to go in the lift, and then a girl comes out, some like on her headphones, whatever. Because
Yeah,
the door opens, right, and then no one comes out, and then she does, and he's like, ooh. Um,
yeah, yeah. He's proper shitting himself.
and then you get a second one, which is like, he's hearing some like, oh no, stop, whatever, like from
Yeah, like
behind the
someone's being
door, and
killed.
then he like kicks the door down, like points the gun, and it's like some girl with a dog.
Giant,
Man.
yeah,
Yeah.
giant dog. Yeah, like I like you literally called like,
Oh,
oh
and the
yeah,
dog
come
is
back
called
here.
Pee Wee. I'm
Yeah,
like,
exactly. It's literally like the manifestation of that meme of like the pit bull called Princess, like when it finds like a 2-year-old kid.
yeah, literally. Yeah, that dog went on to maul Jeff's daughter.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. She didn't survive after all.
Yeah, Pee Wee, man. So yeah, and then you get like a third kind of fake out. So like these people come out of the lift. It's like, do you mind? It's just like the asshole neighbor. Just like just hates everyone, man. Just
Yeah,
giving it.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
everyone else in the lift just like looks like they're half dead anyway. They're just like shuffling out.
it's funny you say that because I think they were crew from the film, like a couple of extras to jump. I think it was either the writers or producers or something.
Yeah, they've got like the cameraman in there as well.
Yeah, it's true. And then, so everyone vacates the lift apart from a familiar face,
Someone very
trained
well dressed.
in the building. Yeah, he's the drip is strong in this film, man. Must
Yeah,
say.
he's right. In fact, he's right here.
That's right, exactly. So he's in the lift as well, and
Oh,
Hoffman's like,
for YouTube viewers.
yeah, because the lift thing stops ticking or it's like broken, and then he looks down. I love the tension in this scene, man, because you like, and by the way, Hoffman's doing like quite a Sigma stance as well. Look, did you notice the way he stood? He He's like stood like
Yeah,
this, something
exactly.
like that. You notice
Yeah,
that.
it's like plotting something.
It's
It's
like
like
you and your prom photo.
yeah, exactly.
It's
I
like
mean,
literally the same stance.
yeah,
So
he
yeah,
yeah, I like this as well because like yeah, by this point, I mean, all the audience, they know this is John Kramer, aka Jigsaw.
yeah,
But then like this is the last person he would guess would be the psychopathic murderer who set up all these traps and so on, even though
yeah,
he is on edge, and then which is what takes him by surprise.
yeah. And it's such a good like not jump scare, but it's just like oh man, you see him and you're like
Yeah,
um
could you imagine like just to continue with the tradition, like John Kramer, like he pulls something out of his bag, it's just like a pig mask. He's like, "Why are you putting that on?" He's like, "No reason."
yeah.
It takes
Just
forever in the lab.
Chinese New Year, isn't it? That was last year. Oh, bang,
Yeah,
so he gets
exactly.
injected with a slow coursing agent, no doubt. And
Yeah,
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 man, and
exactly.
then
Like Hoffman,
he wakes
Hoffman
up.
gets it wrong. Hoffman gets the animal year wrong, so he puts him in a trap so he can correct his cultural like lack of knowledge.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, cultural appropriation.
Yeah,
So yeah, he wakes up in a chair with a shotgun to his to his throat,
yeah.
and he
Not
gets a little
so.
bit of a dressing down from John Kramer.
Yeah,
He's
this is their face off.
he opens. Yeah, that's right. So it starts off with the newspaper where he goes, they say that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, but I find it somewhat distasteful when my work is given, and especially inferior work.
Yeah.
So so yeah, and then he exposes Hoffman. Oh, do you know what
You
was
drink,
confusing?
yeah,
Not confusing for me, but it's a little bit like hard to just put yourself in the fact that this is the first time Hoffman. It's quite interesting because no one, presumably, he didn't know that was Jigsaw, right? He's just a random guy, whatever, like an old man, but like I don't know. This must have happened. Yeah, okay, so this happened all before Saw 2, then I guess he got recruited
probably, yeah.
before Saw 2 even. Well, anyway, yeah, so he's saying you're inferior. He's saying, yeah, he exposes him. He's like, yeah, I know you, I know all about you. I know you stay in the bar till it closes and then you
Yeah, you
stagger
drink
home.
till you sleep, which I
Yeah,
don't know what's wrong with
alcoholic.
that, but
um,
yeah, really, he really got a hatred for alcoholics, Jigsaw.
oh yeah, and you know what? The acting is so good here, man. Because
Yeah,
he's like,
it's
oh,
great.
yeah, because he's like, everyone deserves a chance. He can do rehabilitation. We all know the stats for repeat offenders,
Yeah,
67.5%, if I remember right.
yeah,
Um,
and he's like, he's kind of like, yeah, he's kind of well, not really brainwashing, but like, he is essentially brainwashing, like, or convincing Hoffman's come to his side, be like, yeah, need rehabilitation, but not also murder at the same time, even though most of them, we're not going to
yeah,
go over my stats of survival, right? But still.
yeah. Because he goes there, and what the acting from Mark Hoffman is amazing. Because he's
Yeah.
there and he's like, when he says you didn't see the blood, like
Hmm.
just the pain on his face, man. That was so like,
Real, yeah.
yeah, it's so real, man. I'm like, wow, it's so good. And it's
This is
like
the bit.
real credit, with these Saw films. What I have to say is the fact that, you know, I mean, it did end up happening, but I mean, to this point, you've got 5 Saw films, and they know they're gonna, like you said,
Print
multiply their
money.
money times 10
Yeah.
effectively every one they release. There is not really much right for them. There's not really much. They're not really obliged at this point to have such a high level of actors,
Hmm.
plots, scenes. But you can tell this is just like
Yeah, he's
these guys
bringing
are
his A game.
obviously they're really I'm so impressed by how consistent and true they are and how often they are able to surprise us as the audience and to
Hmm.
to keep things interesting and refreshing as well. We're 5 films in, and when you consider like the actual realms of what can happen within these films, there's not really that much you can play with in terms of locations, for example, like something
Yeah.
interesting or exotic that a lot of other film franchises can
Yeah,
benefit
exactly. They
from.
can't travel to like 200 different countries just to find a basement.
Yeah, they're very limited in what they can actually do creatively, but what they do is like I just have to take a moment to appreciate how well made these films are.
Yeah.
And this is why it frustrates me when people go, "Oh, oh, they got shit plots, you know, like you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
If you
exactly.
Saw
Whereas
films are
like
like actually like a real have really good plots, if anything.
yeah, I mean,
Uh,
yeah, there's like okay, not necessarily. Like, there are points of failure maybe in the plans and whatnot, but like it's like at least an intriguing plot and like the questions it raises and so on and so forth, and Jigsaw's ideology and so on. Whereas like if you go
yeah.
to like just any old like torture porn like film, it's just like there's nothing to it really. It's like
Exactly.
gore
Exactly.
first, story
Because this is
second.
like obviously Saw always gets put. I mean, first and foremost, they are horror. It's a horror franchise, but these are just as much horror films as they are psychological thrillers. You know,
Yeah,
and crime films, and I really appreciate that. And people don't I don't think people like give them as much credit as they deserve.
yeah.
Um.
And I got to say though, with this scene as well, though, this is the scene where I thought like they had a really good soundtrack between these two, just
Oh yeah.
like having their like their face off. The music just goes perfectly along with it.
Hmm.
I just like this in
Um.
general. It was kind of reminiscent, maybe just because of the fact that Jigsaw was actually present during this. It was reminiscent. I think it was in Saw 4 as well, with I forgot the guy's name, the guy who essentially killed his unborn kid, like in the
Oh
knife trap
yeah, yeah,
face.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Oh, you testing me now? What's the guy's name? I'm gonna look. I'm gonna cheat.
You know, do a
Oh, I
bit
can't
cheat.
believe I forgot. His name is Cecil, of course. Cecil the
Cecil.
Lion.
Yeah. They should be killed just being called Cecil.
So
Sorry, any
yeah.
Cecil named people out there.
So anyway, so he's going. Yeah, you didn't see the blood. And he goes, killing is distasteful
Yeah.
to me. And it's like I don't know. They're just having this big face off. Man, I love it. It's so like intense. It's so good.
Yeah,
Um,
didn't waste any opportunity here.
And then and then he's like testing his will to live, which is a little bit like I was kind of like, what's he doing here? So he's just like squeezing the trigger, and Hoffman's there. I don't know what exactly John Kramer wanted to see from him at that
Yeah, I
moment.
didn't really get this one much either, to be fair.
That's the only bit that kind of lost me with this scene. I just I heaped massive praise on it, but that's a little bit where I'm just like I'm not. It's not really explained well enough what is actually going on in that moment. But he just wants to see his reaction. I don't know. Or he just wants him to appreciate life. I mean, he does. He can see himself in the mirror, so he's just preparing to die, or whatever, and that's probably enough for. Because to be fair, I think Mark Hoffman has already demonstrated enough by um, his own initiative
Hmm.
that he is a worthy Jigsaw candidate. I think John Kramer just wants to put him through like a near-death experience or something like
Yeah,
that.
probably something like that. Just to, yeah, get enough stress so like part of his brain just like evaporates or something. So he's
Yeah,
like,
okay.
yeah.
Um, and then this whole scene ends with the music kicks and he goes, "I'm the man you call Jigsaw," and
Oh,
he
really?
says,
I thought you were just some random old guy who drugged me and put me here.
"Yeah, oh, that's why you've got all these Saw tracks in your house."
Oh, of course. I've only been,
Yeah,
been detecting all this stuff for the last
yeah.
year or whatever.
But yeah, yeah, you've got So
Yeah, can I borrow your workshop, by the way?
yeah. Oh yeah, and he also says something about. Oh yeah, by the way, uh, the steel you used was inferior. For the best result, you need tempered steel. And he
Are you
pulls
in it
out.
for the long run?
You're in
Yeah.
it for the long haul. Yeah, that's right. That's my favorite line, man. Like, it's better for the long haul. You in this for the long haul.
Yeah, yeah, you need to be in it for the
So
long
good.
haul because I'm gonna die pretty soon. Yeah.
I should have made that my opening quote, but never mind.
Oh well.
Um, so yeah, then obviously with the shot. Oh yeah, and then this is really cool as well because the scene doesn't end there. Because then Hoffman picks up the blade. He goes, because he goes, oh, you can either, join me or I'll go and I'll blackmail you, whatever. Da da da. He goes, or I could just kill you right now. And it's like, oh, but you're not a true killer. Everything I need is where it needs to be if I die, whatever. And
He's probably just bluffing on
then
that
he's
one, to
got a
be honest.
shotgun with another shell in it, so he's ready to, like John Kramer's always got something up his sleeve, man. And then, but
Killing is
obviously,
distasteful, remember?
that's true.
It's
Um,
self-defense, though.
yeah, and you've got a moment here. The only little critique I would have of this scene, as well, is the fact that, like, I think Mark Hoffman he closed the blade a little bit too quick. I don't know if they were like thinking about runtime or something, but I really wanted to see him like. I wanted to believe for a moment that he would have like he was about to kill John Kramer there, but he just folds the knife away quite quickly. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I think it's more the fact that by this point, he's pretty. I mean, he's literally impersonated a Jigsaw
yeah,
essentially. So he's not too far from being like, yeah, maybe this guy's got something. He's
Yeah.
already killed the guy who wants to kill most, so like letting a few like non-related people like potentially live, he probably don't care that much. So yeah,
Yeah.
fuck it.
And then we get some cool throwbacks to the very first Saw
Mm.
trap, the razor trap, which Hoffman was involved in setting up, and we actually see them like kidnapping the guy, and they like totally fumble it, you
Yeah,
know.
their first group project. I don't know how they fumble it, man. Like this guy could have. Anyway,
Well, this is a heavy guy, man. He's probably
yeah,
like what 150 kilos, something like that. Like and he's pissed as a fart. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So
he probably, yeah, he's
you know,
probably like,
he's throwing hands. You know.
yeah. Good thing he didn't fucking send out Adam to do this or whatever,
Yeah, or
or
Amanda or
Amanda,
something, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you
Uh,
just hire like a squad of homeless people to beat this guy up or something.
One thing I really did appreciate about these flashbacks, by the way, which they didn't have to do, I don't think anyone would have really noticed unless you're like really, really paying
Mhm.
attention. But they applied all the necessary hair changes to John Kramer. Did you notice
Yeah,
that?
exactly.
They put the bald
He's
cap on him
literally,
and gave him the what did you call it?
yeah,
Flavor
the flavor
saver.
saver.
Yeah,
Yeah, like the Guy
back on
Fieri
him,
sort of thing.
the
He's
Brazilian on him.
literally
Yeah,
got like, yeah, like John Kramer's been visiting the GTA Barberman throughout this film. Like,
yeah, for real. He goes through at least three different haircuts, I think.
yeah, well,
Um,
to keep his identity anonymous or something.
I
Like,
suppose so, yeah.
I don't
And we also see them setting up Saw 2, right? Because they're
know.
like, dragging the bodies in and then setting
Yeah,
up the revolver on the door. That was very cool.
yeah,
And
yeah.
he
He's like, yeah,
explains,
I
like,
love.
how do you predict all this? And he goes, I don't, I just
I think of the possibilities. And then I look at the film script.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah.
I like the bit as well where he's like aiming the revolver and he's like, oh yeah, and then Hoffman's on the other side being like, oh yeah, a little bit to your left, won't
Yeah,
blow
yeah,
my
yeah,
brains
yeah.
out properly from this. And the other thing as well, they also reference, well, the fact they're gonna set up like Saw 1 as well, being like, oh well, we need to get a healer who needs healing, like
Oh, yeah.
in Dr. Gordon,
Yeah, that's right.
um, who his actor, I mentioned that he played someone from Liar Liar, Jerry.
Mm.
But I forgot, like one of his most famous roles as being the protagonist from The Princess Bride, which again just makes like watching the
All
original
right.
Saw like even more ridiculous if you remember that.
No, I
So,
haven't seen that one.
oh man, you should. You're missing out. Anyway,
Okay. Well, yeah. Anyway, so after all this, yeah, we see those flashbacks, which is always cool. This is what I love
yeah, yeah,
about this film as well. They give the Saw fans so much to like go, oh, nice. They give so many nice little.
yeah,
They just drop it in there, and it's just like, oh,
yeah.
that's so.
They reference
We
all
all
four.
love that. You love to see that, don't you?
Yeah, they
It's
reference
it's the
all four
equivalent of like
previous
in
movies in
Bond,
this.
when he walks through the in Die Another Day when he walks through Key's lab and he's got all the
Yeah,
Bond
all of
gadgets there, and
those.
you're like, oh, you gotta love that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um. So anyway, we cut back to well, there's three people left from the original five, and they enter the bathtub trap.
Mhm.
Um, this is a funny one, because like the beta male, I forget, I don't even know if he's named in the film. I'm just going to call him that because that's what he is.
Yeah, the beta male, the other guy who isn't bald,
Yeah,
the
right.
head
They like
man.
they throw him in the bathtub, and then they're both like stood over him, and then the girl like stabs her in the neck, and cites the reason I didn't trust her.
Hmm.
Like that was really lame. I just didn't even need that line.
Yeah,
That was a
I think
bit
the
like
interaction
coverage.
between
You trust this guy? Huh?
apart from the guy who wrote for the Herald, he was all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Um.
I mean, to be fair, these guys aren't the brightest people on planet Earth anyway.
Yeah, that's
They wouldn't
true.
be in Saw
I
Trap.
think this is the moment where they all no, they're getting closer and closer to revealing what they did to deserve to be
Yeah,
in this
that's in the
trap, which
next
is
one.
like it's very much the side plot of this film, to be fair. So
Yeah,
you
it's
know,
like they could have been like, oh, I stole a Kinder Egg in Tesco or something. Like, I wouldn't really care what happened.
it is interesting though. I mean, how they end up like discovering? Oh, they were all involved in, but he burned down a building for insurance and then planning permission and corruption and stuff, and that
I don't know.
ruined
I
loads of
think
people's lives, whatever.
yeah. Well,
Killed
Jigsaw's just jealous that someone managed to pull off insurance for all. I think.
them.
I don't think it was an accident that he drove his car off a cliff. I think he must have been trying to stage something there.
Yeah, maybe. Um.
Anyway.
So anyway, so they attach the jump leads to this girl, and she gets zapped, gets fried in the bathtub.
Yeah, pretty fucked up, to be honest.
And the girl, she applies some solid year 9 uh, physics there. Like,
Yeah,
don't touch your
exactly.
body so you don't conduct the
Yeah,
electricity.
exactly. So you don't become part of the circuit, remember?
That's right. Yeah, man. Break the
Yeah.
circuit.
Yeah, one
Um,
time, yeah, paying attention in class might get you saved if you're in a saw trap. So staying school, kids.
that's right. And always carry a pen, as Strom would no doubt
Yeah,
advise.
preferably one which has a hollow end, so
That's right.
breathe.
Yeah, imagine if it was one that you couldn't unscrew. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like one of those like erasable pens, and he's like, oh shit.
Yeah. Um, So anyway, then we cut to Jill Tuck. She goes to the FBI guy and says, I think I'm being followed. Um,
And he's like, well, you might be, or might
yeah.
not.
But it's cool because then it starts setting up to like, yeah. You start getting this up because the guy, what's his name, Erickson. He's like,
Yeah.
I mean, the idea's not planted in his mind just yet, but
Yeah, he's starting to
Hoffman's
think,
doing some.
who else is from the FBI that I know who's interested in Jill Tuck, who's maybe acting a bit like a psychopath recently? Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
who
yeah.
looks a little bit suspiciously evil and could be a villain.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. This is what I like. Okay, so this is where I was going back to it before. The fact that this guy Strom looks like a villainous kind of guy really plays into basically like Erickson, falling for it as well. He goes, "Oh yeah, this guy, yeah, he's definitely like he's a wrong one." You know what I mean? Like, wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah,
So I
he's
thought that
just
was
got like
cool.
two pictures on the wall of like one of Hoffman, one of Strom, and he's like, which one looks more evil? Like,
Yeah, yeah, literally. This guy's got more of a chiseled jawline. This one's he's got darker hair. I don't know.
yeah.
Um, So anyway, then we see Hoffman. He's in. You see him basically in Saw 3, and then leading to Saw 4 as well.
Hmm.
You see, Hoffman's on the phone as well uh, with
Sowing some
Erickson.
seeds of doubt. Yeah.
Sorry, yeah, that's right. He starts, yeah, exactly, um, and he sees it with Strom's phone as well. He basically plants it in that office, that you were describing
Yeah,
before.
yeah. This is the source station.
Yep, yep, yep. Um,
It'd be a shame if someone picked this up and thought, like, Strom put it here.
the Saw station.
Yeah, exactly. The source
um,
setup.
yeah, and then we get to the final trap where these guys were, and this is where this is the hand saw trap, like literally hand saw. They realize, oh, we should have totally, we could have all survived this. We'd have got a little shock in the bathtub, blah
Yeah.
blah blah, whatever. So yeah, they basically have to saw
Mm.
their. This is a gruesome trap, man. I mean, we're
Well,
gonna obviously rank
donate blood to
traps
save a
later.
life. What can you say?
Sorry.
What can you say? Donate blood to save a life. All you got to do.
I don't. Yeah, I don't think this is medically accurate. I mean, how many pints is it that you can survive? I thought it's 4 pints, but John Kramer claims it's 5. So
I
I
don't
don't
know,
think that's
man.
true.
I don't know why you even knew that off the top of your head anyway. I don't know what you've been
I thought
researching.
everyone knows that. Like, yeah, you have
No, I
like 10 pints
didn't.
of blood and you can lose 4 and survive, but Kramer reckons it's 5. So I mean,
Well, it's a good thing. It's a good thing Kramer doesn't fuck up, his metric and imperial system. Otherwise, he might have, left them with 4 liters of blood instead.
yeah. Well, anyway, either way, I think they would die, and
Yeah.
they certainly wouldn't be able to hold a conversation afterwards. It
Yeah,
wouldn't.
exactly. They're just like shoving their hands in. It's like, so how's your weekend? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it is like it's like, oh, could they have filled it with like some other fluids, or
yeah.
like
To be fair, actually, what if you just like, if your aim's just well enough, you could probably like piss into it.
that's what I think. Yeah, and this is what I think
They
most
don't
people.
have much time,
Uh,
to be fair.
yeah, and then you
Oh
have the
yeah.
risk
Well,
of
there are other fluids,
sawing
but
your dick as well. So
well,
don't wanna-
not in great amounts. But anyway, anyway, the other thing is as well, like, or you can maybe bury into it, perhaps if he, you know, I
yeah,
don't,
you could spit in it or something like that. Maybe I don't know.
don't know how he had to be spitting for a while to get 4 pints,
You could
5 pints.
jizz in it, perhaps.
Yeah,
So
I don't, I
bit of
don't
weight
want to
in that.
say that one. You imagine like, because I originally thought before as well, they could have just taken the body out of the thing, but then that would have like the corpse out of the bathtub, but maybe that would have shut the door again. I don't know.
Yeah, the door shuts, doesn't it? But
No, we can't cut the water out of the bathtub because the writers thought about that, so they've got a different thing in mind.
yeah, yeah. I mean, okay. I mean, they end up having to saw their arms, and Man, that
That is
frame. So,
gruesome, man.
I mean, they have a bit of a montage where it's just they're screaming. It's like, oh, filling up it's like dramatic.
Oh,
But
but
there's not
afterwards,
so
man.
much they could do with that. But then when they get out of it, and she goes, "We won," and then he lifts up his hand, and it's like to his
Oh,
elbow, like splitting open. Oh, that is horrible, man.
yeah. No way he's
That's
not
one
getting
of the
those.
nastiest images in the whole franchise, man. I think maybe it's right up there,
Yeah, this is definitely one of the worst traps to be in. I mean, depending on how many people you have. If it was with 5 people, it would just be like, oh,
Oh, you're Gucci, yeah, man. 2 pints each, Bob's your uncle, you know what I mean? But
yeah.
although even that would still be painful, that'd probably go down maybe to your
Mhm.
wrist. Um, but man, yeah, the bit where he raises up his hand and it's like
Oh,
splitting open. It's so good, like in the sense of like for the horror film, it's like
yeah, sure.
that's like nasty, man. And I've seen this many times, and it
It's
still
still
grosses
horrific,
me out.
man.
Yeah. So that's affected. But it's just the irony as well of her saying, "Yeah, we won," and then he does that.
Yeah, it's
It's
just
like,
so, oh, really?
yeah, it's something. It's interesting. So now you've got Ericsson. We cut back to Ericsson. He's chasing Strom, who's chasing Hoffman.
Yeah, these
Um,
films really do like to end in chases,
Very
while
cool.
while a saw trap is happening at the same time most of the time. But
And here's a fun fact for you, Henry. The
yeah,
house
keep
that
going.
Strom was. Did you notice that the house that Strom was running through while he was chasing Hoffman was actually the house from Saw 2?
No way.
Yeah, it's the same house. It was just refurbished a little bit by Hoffman. Doing a bit of painting and decorating.
Yeah, yeah. Hoffman's interior decor.
But yeah, same
That's how they
house.
figured out. That's how they figured out it was a different jigsaw. Not only that he was dead, but also that the wallpaper had changed in his house that he
Yeah,
was
that's
using.
right. He put
Anyway,
up some new paintings, some
yeah,
NFTs,
exactly.
whatever.
Yeah, it's like this one.
um,
Yeah, this one prefers lighter colors or something.
yeah.
Anyway.
So yeah. Okay. So then we get basically Strum walks into the room with the glass coffin, which
Mhm.
we saw already in Saw 4. You remember there was
Yep.
so there was that
It's just there,
foreshadowing there.
chilling.
That's right. So now we have the glass coffin there, and it's like raised up a bit.
Mhm.
Um, and he so he's there.
Gets the
Um,
tape out of it.
that's right. Ericsson finds the Saw station, as you called it, and it's really like the thoroughness from Hoffman, man. Maybe he's like even more jigsaw than Kramer himself, man, because he leaves the hot coffee there. Uh, he
Mhm.
leaves the photos there, the photos of Ericsson himself.
Yeah, that
There.
was
So he's like,
proper good,
oh,
man.
he's
Imagine
coming
being
after me
him,
as well.
like,
And then the chair on the top, he rings the phone and then it's like the phone's right there. He rings Strom's phone, and it's right there, and it's like, oh, so perfect frame job from Strom there. Oh, sorry, from Hoffman.
hmm,
And then we see the Saw victim herself, the girl from before,
yeah.
and she's like, yeah, I made it, whatever. And she's like, there,
Oh,
like a
we
pile
won.
on the floor, man, pretty
Yeah,
messy.
this guy's like, yeah, I might need an ambulance. Don't know how much it's gonna cost in this country, but
Yeah.
get down here, please. Or call an Uber. I don't know. These guys look kind of broke. Oh no, the other guy's a trust fund kid, so he can afford it.
Yeah, true. And then we get to the ending, just like that. We get so Hoffman and Strom, they have a fist fight, which is very
Yeah,
cool.
it's
Bit,
not too long
hand
though.
to hand
Otherwise,
combat.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. You don't really see many like fist fights in Saw.
I think this won an MTV award actually for best fight.
Really?
So that's
I mean, it's
cool.
good in terms of the context of it, but the actual fight content itself is like it's all
Nah,
right.
I liked it.
But
It's
the
cool,
fact that he
especially as it's,
punches him
it's
into the
Hoffman
coffin,
and Strom. I thought it's a
yeah,
cool
yeah,
it's almost like a boss fight, isn't it?
yeah, it's like some
Um,
WWE shit,
And
like
it's not like that's the thing. Slight limitation you have with John Kramer. He's like too old and frail to really get in a
yeah,
fight.
exactly.
And the other characters, I mean, Donnie Wahlberg's character could have Eric Matthews or whatever. But anyway, Hoffman versus Strom is like a cool fight, which
Yeah, if it went
Strom
on,
wins, but
yeah,
then so he flings Hoffman into the glass coffin, um, and then he like just points down basically to suck my dick.
yeah, exactly.
But no, it's at the tape there, and he picks up the tape.
He's like, oh, it's only halfway done. Let me listen to the rest of
Yeah,
it.
right.
Oh
So
no.
yeah, he starts playing the tape, and it's obviously Hoffman's voice. and then you get really cool music here, you know, as the coffin lowers into the ground, and we're getting a montage as well of the rest of the film, you know, and
Yeah.
everything, like all the
Yeah, all
um
the setup of framing.
exactly.
Yeah, framing Strom, exonerating Hoffman at the same time, so he
Yeah,
can feel he's properly off the hook,
yeah,
which might
yeah.
be or
It's
might
very
not be.
cool. And yeah, the glass coffin is like lowered down
Yeah,
into
the
the ground,
Hoffman's
so it's
just
flush.
Hoffman's literally just like, yeah, fuck you,
Yeah,
like as
literally,
he's
man.
going
Yeah,
down.
exactly. And then we get one of the ultimate traps of like any movie, you know,
Yeah.
like since I don't know about you, but for me as a kid, man, the Wall Crusher is always like one of those you always it's like a trope in so many movies and games.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, and we see it here, and we see a
Oh,
Wall
it's.
Crusher, you know,
I mean,
and Strom, he realized he fucked up.
yeah. To give him credit, and one thing I do like they do in this film is the people, I mean, Strum does this as well, but they do actually try to think of like a lot of different avenues, like what you would do in a saw trap, for example. And then it just shows these ones are very well constructed and so on and so forth, 'cause there's nothing you can really do, minus potentially
Yeah,
pissing in the previous one or other
yeah,
activities. Um, and in this one, he's like, he's trying to climb up, maybe get through
mhm,
the ceiling, but not going to work. Tries to shoot the locks on the coffin,
yeah.
tries to shoot Hoffman himself, telling him how he's
Tell
going
the
to get
truth.
out. You imagine if it like he had like a little control, he could raise him back up. They just both squeeze in the coffin. And it's just really awkward for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Um, what I like is as well, like the bit where like you know, obviously he's like got his hand there to support, and then it like gets caught in there, and it, like the bone
Oh,
snaps open, man, and then you
it's
see the blood
horrific.
splatter on the glass coffin at
Yeah,
exactly where Mark's face is, and then like that's the last frame of the film, just like the
yeah,
red, and then it closes it, and it's like, oh, so cool, man.
yeah.
And
But
it's
then
actually
like,
it's one of the rare occasions where a wall crusher is actually
yeah, no
successful in
shit.
killing someone, because you get them in like Indiana Jones or Star Wars, and it's like, you know, they always get out of it, right? Because
Yeah,
it's like a
exactly.
cheesy film, right? But this is like, you know, I mean, you would, I mean, if you're gonna see a successful wall crusher, you're gonna see it in the Saw film, I guess. But I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
think
And
it's
it's
really, and the music is so good
so
as well,
yeah.
man. It's just like it's such a satisfying end to the film, you know.
It's
Um,
just yeah. I feel bad though for Strom really, because like
yeah,
he's especially after his like bone pops out, man. He's like screaming and crying, man. Like
yeah.
he hasn't really done anything wrong other than his crime was investigating like
This crime is doing his job, like,
yeah,
you know.
literally like you mean you haven't seen it, but it reminds me of like a bit of Death Note where
Oh
the
yeah.
where like he's normally targeting bad people, but then it's like, oh, if you investigate me, that's also a crime, therefore you should die. It's like, anyway.
Yeah, it's a funny one because Hoffman is he's almost like an anti-hero uh, in a way, right? Do you not think? Because you see his origin story and you do
Yeah, and he's
sympathize
fair
with him
enough
a
for
little bit, you
that.
know. He's like a bit more relatable, I think, maybe. He's
You're so
literally
relatable
me.
when I kill someone in that way.
Yeah. Wow. I was watching Martin Saw 5. Wow, he's just like me.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, Mark Hoffman, yeah, man. And I also want to shout out the post credit music is so cool. You get like
Mhm.
a rendition of the Saw theme, which is like a little bit different. It's like it's so cool. I was like, I've
Definitive
had that.
edition. Yeah.
Yeah, having that, walking my dog in the at midnight, you know, with that going on. I'm like, yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to shout out that the music in this film, the score is fantastic.
Mm.
So there we go. That's Saw 5, Henry.
Yep. Doesn't waste any time. Very,
Not a
very,
bit.
very good, I would
I
say.
love
Like,
it. I love this Saw film. So now we're going to rank the various elements within the film,
yeah. The very exhaustive
as we
list.
always do. And we're going to start off with the traps. So in this film, the traps we have the pendulum trap, the warp box trap, the decap trap, the tunnel trap, the bathtub, the handsaw, and the wall crusher. So we got an interesting variety here. Now I'm like thinking about what I said at the beginning of this review, and maybe I'm wrong. You know, actually, it does have some really good traps. They're not like the most iconic ones,
They're not
though.
the
I mean,
greatest, but
when you
they are
think back,
pretty good.
okay, let me read out our current ranking as well. The current ranking is number one, the rat trap from Saw.
3.
Yeah. I wrote
It's
that
hard.
wrong.
It's hard to distinguish 3 and 4 when they happen simultaneously.
Yeah, I wrote. Yeah, okay. So we got the rat trap from Saw 3 as number one. Number two, the rapist trap from Saw 4. Number three, the wax trap from Saw 1, and number four, the Venus flytrap from Saw 2.
Yeah, I'd like to elaborate as well and clarify. The rapist trap is someone getting like pulled in, an actual rapist getting pulled into
Oh,
four
that's what
like
you meant by it. Yeah,
he's
the
getting
fat
torn
guy,
apart. It's
the
not
fat
like, you know,
rapist trap. Actually, that's
for
right.
those who haven't seen the film, it's not
You've
what you
seen
think
it,
it is.
man. If you haven't, I mean, only I watched Saw 5 before
Yeah,
this. But anyway,
yeah, exactly.
so
Like, you know, if you
what do you think is the worst trap from this film? Like the one you would least want to be in?
hand saw if there were 2 people with me, because
Mhm.
like it's the fact that it's not like with some it's like it's slow, you know, it's not like an
Yeah,
immediate thing. It's gruesome, you know.
yeah.
Not the biggest fan of blood. I mean, I won't pass out like some weaklings, but like, you know, you would pass out after losing that much.
Oh yeah.
Um, and it's just like afterward, your arm's fucked. Like, what are you gonna do? You
Well,
know?
you could just put a rubber band around it and it'll heal itself. You
Yeah, a
know.
rubber band, you know, some sticky tape, you know, like
Yeah, no problem.
super glue,
Hairband, man.
man.
You
You know,
you Gucci. I was wondering that. Do you think your hand could fully heal?
nah.
Not fully, but
Oh.
could it be functional after that? Because you've sawed through all the wrist bones and everything. I mean, probably not.
Maybe it depends how good the medical attention is, I guess. Like, if you get any infections in the meantime.
Mm.
This is the thing as well. John Kramer does not give fucking. I mean, obviously he probably can't afford it, but these are really shitty environments. Like the even if they all survived, like they probably wouldn't have a long life expectancy with the amount of fucking diseases they catch from this shit. Like, you
Well,
know,
yeah, I
they're
very
not gonna
much
have very
doubt
good
he's like.
quality of life to cherish anyway if you fucking survive.
Yeah, although you never know. I could see John Cage. He's probably thorough like that. He probably disinfects the whole room, before he's like
Yeah,
a
does it
tattoo
look
studio, and he
disinfected?
probably disinfects it and wipes it all down, so it's all
Yeah,
like.
sure.
Although it doesn't look like it,
Yeah,
so.
at the very end there's like a self-treatment station. Like, and then at the end of it you get like a lollipop or something, which is
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you get a free medical treatment,
yeah,
on
yeah, well,
his
yeah, I don't
account.
know if he's that rich, but you know, he's got like
Yeah.
he's got like a McDonald's coupon or something. I don't know, like treat yourself, you know.
Yeah.
None, you,
He'll contribute $1,000 to your GoFundMe,
yeah, exactly. He'll be like, yeah, he'll follow you. Yeah, if you lunch Churchill life, he'll follow you back or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
Um,
Um, I don't know about that. The Hansel trap is really bad, but I don't know if at least that one is survivable. The pendulum trap is the
yeah,
one
but
I'm looking at.
you have to make like a distinction though for the ones which are literally impossible, because then it's just like, how much do you want to be
No, no,
tortured
no.
before you
Let's
die?
say, I mean, in theory, that was possible because you could.
How?
I mean, I know it was rigged but let's say it's not rigged. So you put your hands in the hand crushers, or you get sliced in half. So I think you're basically um, having similar damage to what you have in the handsaw, plus you're being sliced in half if you fail, which is also a horrible slow death. And that's the thing. The hand, even though they effectively failed, right, because there were meant to be five of them or more than two of them, they were still able to survive it.
Yeah,
And it's not like you're crippled. I mean, you probably won't have full function of your hand, but it's
at
better
least you
than
got one hand.
the pendulum trap where your hands are like crushed, literally, like every bone is broken, um, both hands, and you're sliced in half.
Well, I would
So
simply just not, you know, commit murder then. I don't
well,
know.
yeah.
I think this is a caveat in which I would the pendulum one is worse
Yeah.
than in comparison to the handsaw one if there are 5 people, because you don't have to saw your hand as much.
No, even with two people because they survive it, right? And this is the thing, like,
Yeah, but do we see them
mm,
later on?
it's a
That's
tough
the
one.
real question.
Well, I'm not going to spoil future films, but well, you do. First of all, you see the girl actually at the
Yeah,
end.
I
You
know,
see
but
her.
how long
So
does she have to live?
well, depends how
I mean,
quickly.
yeah, if this is yeah, actually,
I think the pendulum trap's worse, and we
if
haven't discussed the wall crusher either because I think
yeah,
that's
but
a
the wall
bad
crusher
as
is
well.
fucking impossible, and unless you get into the glass box, which is easy, I'll just sit in there and not move
Yeah,
my.
it's pretty uncomfortable though. You got like you're laying on broken glass, so
Yeah, but it's not as bad as yeah. He's got a whole suit on, man. He'll be fine.
I
So oh,
suppose.
I've got some cuts and bruises. You know, like yeah, I would say that the handsaw one. is like, yeah, it's technically recoverable. The only two problems is if you live in America, you're going to go bankrupt. If you live in the UK, you won't ever get seen. So,
Hmm.
you know, that's your problem.
I still think the worst one's the pendulum trap. Oh, that's the one
Yeah,
I
I
would
guess
least want
you're
to be
losing
in.
both hands, I guess, to be fair.
Yeah, exactly. You lose in both hands, and you're on your own. At least with like the handsaw one, you've got a buddy with you, so you're sharing the pain. That kind of helps as well, doesn't it? I think
Well,
we've got to
someone's
put the
got one.
pendulum trap as number one in this film, right?
Can you imagine that with 5 people, man? That would have been like,
Yeah, it'd
yeah,
be fine,
you go
man.
deaf during that,
Yeah.
Be like, shut the fuck up! I'm trying to saw my hand off here, like,
So now, okay, so we're agreed on the pendulum trap, right?
yeah,
So now where are we going to rank that against the rat trap, the rape? All right. Well, it is the rapist trap, the wax trap, and the Venus fly trap. So just as a reminder, the rat trap's the one where he gets each limb twisted, and the rapist trap is the fat guy getting each limb pulled off or his eyes dug out.
or
And
both.
then the wax trap is naked, where you're on the glass and stuff. I think this is either second or third.
I think it's third because, like,
Yeah.
because you really literally can't fucking see afterwards. I would take losing
Yeah.
my hands
Yeah.
over losing my eyesight. At least you got like you can't have like robotic eyes unless you're in No Time to Die. But anyway, um, but you can have like nowadays you got functional fake hands. I guess it's just got to be a little bit rich. I guess.
Yeah, I'm good with that one. I think yeah, pendulum trap being third, so below the rape trap and above the wax trap. I think that's a pretty fair position for it. Um, okay, the best ending. So what we have now is number one, Saw. Number two, Saw 4. Number three, Saw 2. And number four, Saw 3.
Yeah,
So could a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood.
yeah. About
Um,
that one, but yeah, I
The
would.
ending for this film isn't. I think this might have to go fifth because it's
It's not
not
like
like
a
there's not really a
revelation.
dramatic plot twist, is there?
Yeah, it's
Right?
just like, oh, actually, I'm not dead. I'm gonna go in the floor. Bye.
Yeah, it's like it's a very cool ending. It's very good. I mean, don't get me wrong, the ending is great, but I think.
It's not like it
Oh
doesn't blow
no,
your
the ending
mind.
is cool actually. Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking in terms of plot twist, but we're not really rank. We are ranking it on the plot twist, but just the ending in general, right? And where can we
It
put
doesn't.
this?
Yeah, but the
Four,
real
five, do you
question
think?
is, does he say game over? I think
No.
not.
There's no game over. This is the first Saw film without the game over
He
ending.
should just
So
like he should just like shout it from the box, be like, "Yeah, game over, dickhead." And then he just
I think
does
the
like a
ending is very cool because of the wall crusher, the music, and like the actual frame is very
yeah,
cool.
at
And
the
just like
end,
he's lowering back into it as his tape is playing.
and this blood goes on him.
But it does lack the plot twist. It does lack the game over. I mean, you could have had game over on the tape, or something like that. So I don't know. Where do you want to rank it then? Versus okay, so Saw one obviously is like the epic. I don't think that
Yeah, and then
moves.
Saw
But Saw
4,
4 is where Hoffman's revealed to be the villain.
yeah, and
Uh,
Saw 3's happening at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Saw 2 is when it's not live on feed, and Saw 3
Yeah.
is is Jeff. So
Yeah, I think this will have to go fourth. Just like you just
oh,
said, you described like it's Jeff, but and then yeah, there's nothing that crazy about the Saw 3.
okay, okay,
This is
yeah,
like it, despite the fact it lacks like a good plot twist, it's just a hype ending. Like
it's a cool ending, but yeah, it does.
it
Saw 2
lacks it
yeah,
lacks the
yeah, yeah,
ability
yeah.
to,
Yeah. I
it
think
lacks
that's
the
fair. I
ability to
think that's
blow your
fair.
mind, but it does leave you satisfied.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, now the most Sigma quote or moment. Number one,
Yeah.
the voicemail from Saw 2.
Yeah, on the kid's
Number
phone.
two, turning down the hoe in Saw 4. Number three, Amanda challenging the nurse to kill her, Saw 3. And number four, apathetic but mostly pathetic, Saw
The
1.
original. Yeah, I would have to put for this. I mean, this was quite hard to find like a
Yeah,
sick
I
moment from.
struggled. What did you get?
I liked the bit from the back and forth between Kramer and Hoffman,
Yeah, I
where he
thought it
says
was
to
pretty
him,
cool.
you know what I'm gonna say, where he's like, um, they say imitation is the highest form of flattery, but it's like he finds it distasteful, especially a poor imitation, inferior work. He says,
Yeah, that's right.
where he's just shitting on him, being like, yeah, your trap sucked. Mine
Yeah,
worked for
yeah.
you.
I think even like that quote, the whole scene is literally like Sigma versus Sigma, isn't it? And that's why it's like
It's good.
it's
Yeah.
so that's why it's so iconic for me in terms of, and it's like it's Hoffman and John Kramer. But where do we put that then?
Yeah, in relation to the others.
I think second. Because the
Over John
voicemail.
Kramer. Yeah,
Sorry.
true. It's cool. I
The
just think like
voicemail is so cool. It's so like unnecessary, man. It's like
I do.
just that
Yeah, I'm
extra.
just.
That's just John Kramer being extra, like.
Yeah,
So
I
I
do.
think I I think maybe second. But what would
Yeah,
you say?
I would be
I
pissed.
mean, the other one from Saw 4, the second is you're a beautiful girl. Go home.
Yeah, exactly. I
That
do.
is quite a good
I
one as
think
well,
just because
actually.
that's archetypally, like by dictionary definition, a Sigma moment, but this is just.
Maybe this has got to go
It's.
third then.
I don't know. It's a really cool scene though.
It is, but yeah, if we're going by dictionary
Yeah,
definition,
dictionary
Sigma
definition this
quote.
goes third. It's still.
You're a beautiful girl. Go home. It doesn't. That's pretty.
Yeah, it's much easier to explain.
It's a tough one though. I mean, what do you think? Where would you put it? Second or third?
I put it third. Very, very close third though.
Okay.
We've had
Uh,
that in Sigma moments before where it's just like there are just two that are like a hair's width between them.
yeah.
Anyway.
And now we're going to rank the film itself. Our current ranking is number one, Saw 4, number two, Saw, number three, Saw 3, number four, Saw 2. Why did we put Saw 4 first again? I'm looking at what
Because of
happened
how
again?
cool, I think it was because of how like well thought out it was. It's generally a cool film, I think.
Okay. Well, I think in that case, I think this deserves to go first.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's just,
Yeah.
yeah, I like my justification for Saw 4. It's a cool film, but I mean, you can always listen back to the previous one. It was we definitely had good reasons for it. Trust me. Um, it was a good film, but this one, yeah, this is definitely the best so far. It's just it's the
Yeah.
Mark Hoffman film, man. Like it's
Yeah.
like you get to see like a Jigsaw in their prime, like clearing his name essentially while also framing someone else. Great traps, love a bit of teamwork. Slight physics lesson in there. Um, Great Sigma moment, like an entire scene dedicated to it. Horrific torture porn if you're into that. Great soundtrack. Stock electrical effects in the bathtub scene, from the sound. Nice ending. What more could you want?
What more could you want, Henry? I think you really summed it up well there. And that's why Saw 5 is going number one on our rankings. So now it's number one, Saw 5, number two, Saw 4, number three, Saw, number four, Saw 3, and number five, Saw 2. There we have it, ladies and gentlemen. So there you go. I mean, that's one I was really looking forward to reviewing and ranking. I mean, Saw 5, like I say, a personal favourite of mine. And I'm glad you agree, Henry, and that's why it's ended up in our ranking. So yeah, final word from you.
I'm quite looking forward to getting to the end of this, not because I don't like Saw, I very much enjoy it, but just so I can hear you try to say the rankings of every Saw film that we've put.
Oh, yeah, that's gonna be fun. Um,
9 of them, and
yeah,
eventually 10.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, from here now, this is the thing. From here now, I'm getting the feeling. I can't remember Saw 6 and 7 as well as I
Yeah,
do.
me
Up
neither.
until Saw 5, I remember all of the. I've remembered all of them very well so far. Now I remember things that happen in 6 and 7, but they're a little bit foggy in my mind
Yeah,
compared to
exactly. They
when
kind of
it's
merge
reviewed.
together in my head.
Yeah, but from
All,
what I
all I
remember, it
remember,
does start going a little bit. This is where this. I think this is where the series peaks,
yeah.
and it starts going. But maybe I'm wrong. I mean,
Yeah, well,
we'll
all I
obviously.
remember is you and your friends are all racists. You
Yeah.
got that to look forward to, and I haven't
Yeah, but that
seen.
was your teacher, Henry. That wasn't from the film.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway,
But
then
yeah,
there's the eighth and ninth ones which I haven't seen, and Saw
yeah, that's
X
right.
in theaters next year or the year after. I don't know.
I hope it will be this year, next year, but we'll see. Um, Either way, next week we'll be back with Saw 6. So make sure you watch that. Stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe. Follow us on Spotify. Leave us a 5-star review if you do listen to us on Spotify. That'd be great. You don't have to even write a review. You can just put 5 stars for us. That'd be great. Leave us a comment on YouTube, or tweet us, Millionth James on Twitter or on TikTok as well.
Yeah. Follow all our burner accounts,
That's right. And we'll be back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.